Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on Carla Apollo Bridge. I have developed this bridge to connect Carla Simulator with Apollo open source autonomous driving platform. This bridge was tested on Carla version 13 and Apollo version 7. However, in this tutorial I will test it with Apollo 8. So let's get started. For the installation you will need some prerequisites. First, you should have Docker installed on your computer. Second, you should have NVIDIA Docker 2 also installed in order to enable the use of GPU inside your Docker container. Assuming that you have already installed both of them, let's start by installing Apollo. We clone Apollo latest version. After cloning Apollo, the next step before building Apollo would be to edit the cyber IP to match the one of the bridge. You can use any type of file editor to open and edit the file of bash setup cyber file. You just have to copy the IP and paste it into the cyber IP parameter in this file. Now the next step is to fix an issue related to Carla maps. This issue is related to speed limit. So what we have to do is to copy these lines into the appropriate file in Apollo to add extra limit when it's unrealistically equal to 0. Next step is to update the control configuration file of Apollo. You can find this file in the bridge in Apollo control folder. Let me just clone the bridge repository to use the file and copy it immediately into Apollo. This file is very important because it has the necessary parameters for the controllers of Apollo to appropriately control the autonomous car in Carla. These parameters were found by tuning the controller. Now let's copy the control configuration file from the bridge into Apollo. Apollo originally has this file. It's necessary for control. You can find it in Apollo, modules, calibration, data, and Lincoln folder. You should replace the file control conf pp.txt. Next step would be to add the Carla maps in Apollo format to Apollo Maps module. But before that, let's enter the Apollo container to start the building process because it takes time, and we can add the maps on parallel. We start Apollo Docker container and then enter it. And using the Apollo build GPU command, we can build Apollo to be using GPU. It takes time, so I'm just gonna start cloning the Carla maps and add them to Apollo. This repository has 5 out of 10 Carla towns. From the 1st to the 5th, you can see that they have different shapes. Each one can be employed to test some feature in Apollo. Especially the first one, it has traffic lights. You can test the behavior of the car at intersections, for example. After cloning the maps, we should copy them or the folders to Apollo, modules, map module, then data. You can find the complete files for the town 1 and town 3 of Carla, but for the others you have to generate the routing and sim maps. To generate the routing and sim map, you can follow the instructions found in the maps repository on GitHub. The Apollo build was done successfully. Now let's start Apollo. It's good for troubleshooting to check that Apollo works fine before using the bridge. Then we choose Lincoln 2017 vehicle. I will run it in sim control mode for an easy and quick check. In this mode, Apollo sends fake data on localization and chassis to test and run the planning and prediction module in an ideal situation, ideal conditions, when the vehicle follows its planned trajectory exactly with no error in position. We have checked Apollo and it's working, so let's stop the cyber node that starts Apollo and let's run the bridge. Next step is to run Carla Simulator either in a Docker or locally on your computer or even on a different computer using a SSH server-client connection or any type of connection in order to save resources. Here I'm running it in a Docker container. Next step is to build and run the Docker container of the bridge. We enter the repository of the bridge, we build the container, and then we can run it. Let's enter the container and let's open another window because we will need two windows to run the bridge. One to run the scene itself from Carla, and the second is to run the bridge. Next step would be to change the IP address for cyber communication between Apollo and the bridge. So first we check the IP address of the bridge container, and then we should edit it in the cyber setup file inside the container of the bridge to match the IP address of the bridge container. Next step would be to source the bash file. I want to mention that building the Docker container of the bridge and setting the IP address are only at the first time you run the bridge. You don't have to repeat it every time you run the bridge. Before running the scene from Carla, let's change the map to Town 1. We can then run the Carla simulation or the Carla scenario by running the file manual control in examples. Now let's check the bridge configuration before running it. You can find it in config bridge settings. You can edit the publishing rate of the bridge. You can as well either choose to apply control or to apply the planned trajectory immediately. You can also either publish the localization info immediately or to publish the data, output data from sensors, and then Apollo would use this information to find the location of the autonomous car. Using the bridge, you can also send the ground truth of obstacles surrounding the autonomous vehicle, including their type, their dimensions, their speed, and their position. You can also define the detection radius in meters. Please note that the IP address here is related to the IP address of Carla Simulator. If you are running it on your local computer, you don't have to change this IP, but if you're using another computer to run the Carla Simulator, you should change it to the IP address of the other computer. So we will run the bridge. We have chosen apply control to be true and publish obstacles ground truth to be as well true. And now we can run the bridge. But make sure to run Apollo before running the bridge. So let's fix it. I will just cancel this command. And now I will run Apollo. We choose the vehicle and the town to be the same as the town in Carla Simulator. We choose the mode. Then we turn on the necessary modules: localization, planning, prediction, routing, and control. Now we can return and run the bridge. You can see here that localization info was published and the location of the vehicle in Apollo is the same as the location of the vehicle in Carla Simulator. Let's put them side by side to compare the behavior. Let's send some routing request. Apollo is showing some error. Let's send another routing request. You can see how Apollo is sending control commands to control the vehicle in Carla Simulator. And this is done by the bridge. You can also turn on the PNC monitor to check the control commands which were sent from Carla to Apollo via the bridge. The traffic light is green, so the vehicle continues its route and stops on the stop line at the goal position. Now let's add some obstacles to the scene. Some random vehicles, some random traffic. You can use the file generate traffic from examples. But please make sure to run it in asynchronous mode. Currently the bridge is supporting only the asynchronous mode. Let's open another window of the bridge Docker container to run generate traffic. Let's send a routing request. And then we can run and generate traffic, random traffic in asynchronous mode. Please make sure that the mode should be the same in Carla scene and in generate traffic. Here there is a front obstacle, but it's not detected because it's not within the radius of the detection, but the pedestrian who is crossing the road is within the radius, so it was detected and the ground truth data were sent to Apollo. You can see also how the prediction module is generating a predicted trajectory for the obstacles. Let's just watch for a few minutes the behavior of the autonomous car in Carla simulator controlled by the Apollo autonomous driving platform. You can see also how Apollo controller is generating brake commands to stop the vehicle at each stop decision, and this is because I have tuned these parameters of the controller to generate and to map the needed acceleration for control to the appropriate throttle and brake commands. Thank you for watching. This was the tutorial to install and run the Carla Apollo Bridge, which I have developed. I hope that it was helpful for you.